Let us understand why it is so important that we learn English grammar. English grammar is a body of rules that describe us the properties of the English language. It teaches us the rules of the English language and the method of using it correctly in writing and in speaking. The first lessons of English grammar generally begin with the parts of speech, which are the noun, the pronoun, the verb, the adverb, the adjective, the interjection, the preposition, and the conjunction. Today, let us learn something about modal auxiliary verbs. Modal auxiliary verbs is a kind of verb. In order to understand it, let us begin by understanding what a verb is. For example, the girl dances well, or Sachin plays cricket. In the above sentences, we can see that the verbs dances and plays show us the action which is performed by the subject. The words which tell us the action which is performed by the subject are called as main verbs or lexical verbs. Almost all the verbs in the English language are the main verbs and the lexical verbs. For example, walk, run, sing, play, etc. Apart from the verbs which tell us about the main action performed, there are certain verbs which show us the state of being, the state of position, and the state of doing. Let us understand it more clearly by looking at the examples below. I am unhappy. Aman is a boy. There are stars in the sky. Raja was hiding from police. The women were tired. Soma has been to America. My neighbors have a big car. I do my dance practice daily. She does yoga every day. He did his homework neatly. The words is, am, are, was, were, been, has, have, and do show a state of physical existence, state of position, and state of doing respectively. They have a meaning of their own and therefore they are called lexical verbs or main verbs. Now let us begin to understand what we mean by auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are also called as helping verbs. They do not have a meaning of their own or the content, but we need to use them to help us in grammatical constructions in a sentence. We always use them with the main verbs because they help the main verbs. Now let us see the examples below. Brett is walking to school. Here is a helping verb, but the main verb is walking. The cat was eating the mouse. The main verb here is eating and the helping verb is was. The girls were playing badminton. The boy has returned from the UK. The police have caught the thief. Babies do cry when they are hungry. In the above sentences, we have seen that the words is, was, were, do, has, and have are helping verbs. They help the main verbs to perform some actions. They are also called as auxiliary verbs. We have to remember that the words do, have, and be can also be used as main verbs or lexical verbs. They can be called as lexical verbs only when they act as helping verbs. Now let us understand the difference in uses when they are used as auxiliary verbs and when they are used as main verbs. Examples: she is a good dancer. Here is a main verb. She is singing. Here, because it is attached with the main verb singing, is becomes an auxiliary verb. He has a new car. He has bought a new car. It was sunny. It was raining. I have some money, I have borrowed some money. So we can see that whenever there is a main verb and before that if it is followed by the words of existence, positions and doing, those verbs are auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. We need to understand the difference between the lexical verbs and the auxiliary verbs. So what are the differences? Lexical verbs can always be used alone, but auxiliary verbs cannot be used alone. Lexical verbs show us the main action or content of the sentence, whereas auxiliary verbs, they are used for the grammatical constructions of a sentence. Auxiliaries can never occur alone in a sentence. If we take away the lexical verb from a sentence, they do not have any meaning. Auxiliary verbs must be compulsorily followed by lexical verbs because they are necessary for the grammatical constructions, especially in questions and negatives. Now let us see how many types of auxiliary verbs are there in the English language. There are two types of auxiliary verbs. One is primary auxiliary and the second is modal auxiliaries. In the examples above, we have seen that the verbs of possession, be, the verbs of existence and the verb of doing are used merely to express the statement of facts. Auxiliary verbs and their various forms which are used in the English language are known as primary auxiliary verbs. For example, be and its forms am, is, are, were, and verbs of possession has and have, and verbs of doing do, done, did. These are known as primary auxiliaries. Now let us move forward to understand what are modal auxiliaries. Modal is derived from the word mood or mode because they are used to express the mood of the speaker at the time of he is making a speech or if he wants to communicate something. Let us understand modal auxiliaries by going through the examples below. He will come, he should come, he ought to come, he might come, he may come, he dare not come, he need not come. In these sentences, the words will, ought to, may not, need, dare, etc. they show us the possibilities of an action that may take place in the future depending upon the speaker. Let us understand what exactly are modal auxiliaries. Modal is derived from the word mode, which means mood or manner. They express the mood of the speaker. They do not tell us the content or the meaning or the exact situations, but they tell us a number of possible situations. It is not necessary that these actions should happen. Several factors may prevent them from happening in the future. They are also called as colored auxiliaries because they are colored by the speaker's mind. For example, fears, hopes, expectations, attitude, obligations, suggestions, futurity, possibility, and attitude. Let us understand the main difference between a primary auxiliary or a main verb and the modal auxiliary. I am going to the movie is where you are expressing your decision, but in modal auxiliaries you say I may go to the movie or I might go to the movies. Let us see some more examples of modal auxiliaries. The modal auxiliaries in English are can, could, will, would, may, might, shall, should, need, dare, and ought. While we are using modal auxiliaries, we need to be a little careful about the rules. When we are using modal auxiliaries, the main verb which is used is always the bare infinitive. That means we cannot use to when we are using the modal auxiliaries. For example, we cannot say, I can to swim. This will make the sentence wrong. We also cannot say, my mother could to speak 5 languages. This sentence is wrong. The second rule which we have to remember while using a modal auxiliary is the modal auxiliaries do not change according to the subject or the number. For example, in a main verb, if it is used in a sentence, we can say he swims, they swim. Here we notice that the verb swim changes with the subject. If it is he, it is swim. If it is they, it becomes swim. But in modal auxiliaries, irrespective of the subject or the number in the sentence, they remain the same. For example, we say he can swim, they can swim, I can swim, we all can swim. So we see that they are not changed. The third rule which we have to remember while using a modal auxiliary is the statement in a modal auxiliary can become a question by the inversion of the subject. For example, I should stay is the subject, but if the question has to be made, you just inverse it. Should I stay? Now let us take the modals one by one and understand how they are used in different situations or in different examples. Let us begin by taking can. Can as a modal is used in the following. 1. When we are talking about our ability. She can drive a car. 2. When we are talking about asking a permission. Can I go out and play, please? Can is also used when we make a request and we give orders. Can you please do this work for me? As a request, as an order. Can you be quiet? Let us understand the uses of could. Could is used as a past possibility. I could speak 5 languages when I was 5 years old. My mother could swim. Could is also used to describe some action which happened in the past, but we can use could only to describe a general action. But if you are talking about a specific action, then could cannot be used. Let us understand this by an example. The boy fell into the river and the police could save him. This is a general action. We can use could. But if we make it a specific action, then see the example. The boy fell into the river yesterday. The police were able to save him. We have to remember that could is used with only a general past action and not a specific past action. But if we want to use a negative action, couldn't is used for both general as well as specific. Let us understand that by an example. The boy fell into the river. The police couldn't save him. The boy fell into the river yesterday. The police couldn't save him. So in both the general actions and the specific actions, couldn't is used, but in specific actions, could can be used and was able to or managed to could be used. Could is also used to ask polite questions. Could you tell me where the bank is, please? Could is also used to express possibility in an unreal situation. If only I had a lot of money, I could start my own business. Could is used to talk about possible actions now or in the future. It's a lovely weather, we could go for a walk. Or, when I go to London, I could stay with my uncle. We have to remember, however, that in the above sentences, in place of could, we can also use can, but if we use can, the actions will become more sure, and with could, they are less sure. Could is used for unrealistic or exaggerated actions. For example, sometimes we say, I am so tired, I could sleep for a week, but in reality, we don't do that. We also say, I am so angry, I could kill him, but in reality, we don't do it. So could is used in exaggerated actions. Could is also used when we are not sure of something. For example, you could be telling me the truth, but I don't believe you. The story could be true, but I don't think it is. Could is used in place of can if we change a sentence from a direct to an indirect speech. For example, I can run fast, the girl said. This is a direct speech. If we want to change it into an indirect, we say, the girl said she could run fast. Could is used with have to change a sentence from present to past. For example, we can say, if I go to London, I could stay with my uncle. This is a present situation. In the past, you say, when I went to London, I could have stayed with my uncle. Could is also used with have plus happened, and could plus not plus have plus happened. For example, why did you stay in a hotel? You could have stayed with your uncle. The boy could not have said this. He is a nice boy. Now let us proceed to understand the other set of modal auxiliary verbs, will and would. Let us begin with will. Will is used when we decide to do something. For example, the door is open, I'll close it. Will is also used when you offer to do something. For example, your bag is heavy, I will carry it for you. Will is used when somebody asks you to do something and you agree to do that. Will you give him my book? Sure, I will when I see him. Will is also used when you make a promise. I will definitely study hard and pass my exam. Will plus not becomes won't, and the use of won't is, I can see that you're studying, I won't disturb you, or do not worry, I won't tell your secrets to anyone. Won't is also used when somebody does not listen to you or refuses to listen to you. For example, you say, how many times I told her to drive slowly, she won't listen to me. Will is used with certain words like probably, I think, I'm sure, wonder, and expect. I will probably be home tonight. I have not seen Carol today. I expect she will call me. Do not worry about your exams. I'm sure you will pass. I wonder what will happen when our principal finds out our plan today. Sometimes will is used for both present and future actions. Don't phone her now, she'll be busy. Don't phone her tomorrow, she'll be busy. Now let us proceed to understand the uses of the modal auxiliary would. Would is used in a habitual past behavior. For example, after dinner, the boys would come out in the garden and sit and chat. One more example, the sparrows would come one by one and pick up crumbs from my hand. Sometimes would is also used as inconditionals like, if I were you, I wouldn't disobey my teachers, or if he lost his job, he would have no money. Would is used as a past tense of will. For example, the manager said, the office will be closed on Monday. If you change it into indirect, you have to say, The manager said the office would be closed on Monday. Would is also used when you have a desire to do something but you are unable to do that. For example, I would phone Seema if I have her number, or I would have phoned Seema if I had her number. Would is used when you are expressing a wish. I wish you would stay, or I hope they would stay and not leave me alone and go. Would is used with rather to express your choice of preference. For example, I would rather fail in the exam than cheat in the exam. Would is used for asking polite questions. Would you like a cup of coffee? Would is used with have plus verb when we imagine a situation or actions in the past. If not for the neighbor's help, he would have starved to death. Would is also used in derogatory terms when we want to criticize or complain about someone else. For example, your cousin said you passed the exam because she helped you. Oh, she would say that, wouldn't she? Friends, I'm sure you would have understand the models can, could, will and would by the examples we have just done before. Now let us hear a short story which will help us to understand these models in a better way and to use them in the right context. This is the story of Rose. I have many friends but only one best friend. Her name is Rose. She is fond of dancing. She can dance so well that we cannot stop admiring her. She could dance since she was a kid. I have seen many dancers, but there is no one who can dance like her. She performed in a number of stage shows. Once, while performing, she had a bad fall and injured her leg. The doctor told her that she cannot dance now. He asked her to take complete rest for 6 weeks and then resume dancing only after her legs would become perfectly strong again. Will I ever dance again? Rose wondered. Sometimes Rose couldn't resist the urge and would start dancing. Whenever her mother would stop her from dancing, she just won't listen. She would often sneak out of the house and start dancing without thinking of the consequences. Because of this, her legs started aching again. Her mother took her to the doctor and the doctor got very angry with her. He told her, "Now you cannot dance till 6 months till your legs become perfectly all right." Rose was very sad. Her heart sank. I will probably never dance again, she thought. If only I could be a little careful, I could have been dancing now. And this would not have happened to me, she thought. Her mother pacified her. She understood her emotions and softly explained to her that she would once again be able to dance like before, but only if she takes complete rest for some days. Why did you disobey us? If you could have listened to us, then you would have been all right by now, her mother told her. If I were you, I would never disobey the doctor, she said. Rose thought that if she won't take rest now, she will probably never dance at all. But if she can be a good girl and follow the instructions, then maybe she could. Even a little bit of carelessness could now cripple her for life. Rose thought that she would rather listen to the doctor than be crippled for life. She decided to take proper rest and practice only after she would be perfectly all right. Now she has recovered fully and has resumed her dancing. If not for her mother's encouragement and support, Rose would have never been able to dance again. All of us are very happy for Rose now. Friends, I'm sure you would have liked the story of Rose, and it has definitely helped you to understand the modals can, could, will and would. I'm sure now that you will be able to use them without any hesitation or fear.